right, welcome back, gentlemen. So today is 14th September, and as per my promise, I'm just launching my first course title today, and that is Mastering LangChain and OpenAI LLM with Python. Under this course, you will start as a beginner, and at the end of the course, you are skilled with at pro level under these fundamental LangChain, OpenAI LLM, and Python. I'm assuming that basics of Python you already aware, right? So in Python, probably I will consider more or less advanced concept, and most of the places I will assume probably that you know the basics of Pythons, right? Under OpenAI LLM and APIs, different models, different kind of analysis between the models, and how to use the API. Those all things I will cover as much as possible. Like I will cover in detail. So even though you don't aware as of now, there is no issue at all. You are good to go. But basic Python you should be, or no, we should know, right? Basic Python, basic understanding, basic design, and at base practices of basic programming understanding. Those kind of things I assume you will aware, but it won't restrict you at all. Even if you don't know, you can join and you can learn these things along with this course. You can always have a liberty to ask as a query question in certain forums. The community where you are, in fact, you're supposed to give answer or even ask the questions and answer. Anyway, you can contribute those in those forums. So the next question, which is very prominent, and you must ask, why this course? What is the reason? Unfortunately, it is a very high time for the especially software industry as of now, that you should be very much familiar with these technology, or at least you should be aware of how to use, how to leverage these kind of LLM and their capabilities in your product, in your business use cases. One important point I would like to mention before I go to the course, that please note that as I several times I've already mentioned in my past video also, that sooner or later, almost all the industry will get impacted with AI and ML in terms of optimization, in terms of resource cut, in terms of performance optimization, in terms of automation, right? So anywhere in any industry, if you are currently, you will get impacted. Maybe later, sooner and later. Time duration may be different for each and every industry, but each and every industry must get impacted here and there. And that's why, being a software professional, this is high time for all of us to start leveraging these capabilities, so that once this get activated in each industry, your skills get more value, right? If you are skilled in these areas and every industry is demanding these kind of a skill set, your skill is more valued. Got my point? That's why it's time to start as a software professional. It's time to start learning, start skilling up yourself in these areas. Now, next question might be, already many courses on different platforms, different places, YouTube, maybe Udemy, and many places. Then why this course? And why this new platform? So there are two reasons for this. One reason is, as an industry aware professional, I can give you the real pain areas and how to solve those pain areas. The second important point which I wanted to highlight here is that how to leverage these technologies better way. That is also another area of improvement as of now. You can go to Udemy, but Udemy have their own limitation. I think most of the courses are very, very beginner level. They are not focusing on hands-on. So they are not making you more ready to market. You are aware of the technology, you are aware of the theory, but you are not aware, you are not hands-on with the skills which industry is needed. Because industry is looking for the professional who is ready for business work. I mean to say that if you are skilled, hands-on professional, and tomorrow you have a business case, you are expected to deliver that solution very short time frame. And that is only possible if you are very much hands-on and very much adopted in industry practice, right? If you know only theory, even though you know Python, even though you know theory, and you know, but if your development is not production ready, that is useless, right? You cannot survive with that kind of code even in that scenario. Business runs on production ready code, not on prototype kind of things, right? So that's why the experienced people who are in industry, who works on production ready code, they are the better person to train you. And I believe that I am the that kind of people who can help you to in this area. Okay. All right. So let's go to this, and let me describe the course a little bit. So mastering LangChain OpenAI LLM with Python from beginner to pro is essential because it meets the urgent need of a skilled professional in the rapidly expanding field of AI and natural language processing. Right. As large language model becomes integral to various industries, there is a pressing demand for comprehensive practical training. This course helps learning with in-demand skills using Python, LangChain, LangGraph, and OpenAI GPT models, enabling them to become market ready and capitalize on emerging career opportunity in AI development. Let's move to the next slide. So on this slide, I'm going to describe you the key area of the course. So there are three different key areas I have selected. The first one is trying to learn the fundamentals of LLMs and how to implement them using Python programming. That is the one thing which is called mastering the large language model LLM with Python. Second area, once you understand the nitty-gritty, you are equipped with the skill set of these understanding of LLM, and you are skilled with Python language also. Then time to come is to gain hands-on experience by creating real world AI projects, which you are going to use in the real world, right? Using the LangChain, OpenAI, GPT APIs. So use these framework, technology, tech stack, maybe APIs, large language model APIs, and together build a business application, which is the real world business application whose need is currently going on. So build some few of the, such kind of application in this course. Not all are, of course, not all are production ready, but at least I will give you the idea how to make one application production ready application. What are the steps you will follow? How you can run that, just kind of like ML ops. How do you use ML ops? What kind of things you have to understand under ML ops? So those kind of things you will understand here. Not in all things I cannot able to cover, but gradually I will take few sections more and create later the different course for that expertise. But in this course, I will focus more or less on LLM, especially OpenAI LLM and their APIs, and then LangChain as an application framework. You may tell LLM kind of application framework, which is creating LLM based application. Right? And the third area, which I already told, become the market ready AI developer. Right? So that is how I believe that. So what is the course objective, right? Let's understand this course objective. So the objective is understand the core concept of LLM and how they revolutionize natural language processing, NLP, and artificial intelligence. Learn to implement and interact with OpenAI's cutting-edge language model using Python programming. Start understanding LangChain as a framework to develop advanced language model application and pipeline efficiently. Then by building different kind of business apps, you can create your own portfolio, your own tech stack, which is very handy in later stage when you are going to launch your own company, your own project, your own application, right? In that case, these small framework, library, or packages is very handy to use it in your real world and maybe in your own company where you are starting as a AI application or AI generative AI based any like startup. In that case, these learnings can be very handy for you. All right. Then also I will try to give you how to learn industry best practices, which will help you to make your solution production ready, deployable to the production grade server. How to make your solution production ready, that is a very challenging. And I must tell you one note here, maybe disheartening, but that is most of the industry researcher is heavily lacking in this area, because university researcher have their different roles. They are very good at researching things, but when it comes to the production ready or production environment, this industry research output most of the time will not exactly play in production environment due to several underlying infrastructure changes. And that's why understanding for research environment, research confined environment to production ready environment is very important. And here actually a software engineer is very handy. Having a large experience in software industry, they are very, very handy here. So like it is a AI based solution doesn't mean that software engineer is not required. Even though it is AI based solution, software engineering, fundamental of software engineering is very much required. All right, let's move on. The target audience, like anybody who are starting in AI and NLP as a beginner, or any developer looking for integrate LLM into their application, any data scientist and engineers aiming to expand their skill set on practical aspects, or anyone interested in mastering LangChain, OpenAI, LLM with Python. So all they are, apart from that, it is my observation. But if you feel by learning these course content, if you realize that it may suits you, you can join. All right, let's move on. As I already mentioned that this course has generally only one requirement, prerequisite requirement, and that is the basic understanding of Python programming, basic understanding of object-oriented language, basic understanding of programming construct, which is useful in production environment. But even though you know only basic of Python, then also you are very much equipped with the skills, because the rest of the skills I will touch upon, not in too detail, but of course in the level where you can understand things. And then if you feel more to explore, then go and deep dive. Okay, I will give you the resource where you can go and deep dive as per your time. All right. But I definitely do not expect any prerequisite requirement of understanding LLM and LangChain. But if you have, definitely you are welcome, and you will get more experience by doing these things. So if you are already experienced in this area, that's very good. Even though you don't understand too much area right now, no issue, you can join. Okay. All right, let's move on. So I have divided around 9 to 10 module to complete course, and I will go one by one. The module 1 is primarily the introduction part of large language model. Under this, I will cover overview of course structure and objective. The next, I will cover basics of NLP and its evaluation. Next, I will cover introduction to LLM and their significance. And then I will discuss a little bit about case studies and industry application. Module 2 is primarily setting up your development environment. I will cover it basically installing Python and essential libraries. The IDE, maybe Visual Studio Code, or maybe any other like standard tool, right? Maybe Anaconda for like Python, another thing. Virtual environment, these like Anaconda, PIP, virtual environment, these are essential for the setting the environment, right? So that I will cover. Something like Jupyter Notebook, VS Code, these are like tools for efficient coding, right? Even you can code in Notepad, another area also, any text editor also. But I recommend that please focus on VS Code and Jupyter Notebook, because these coding tools are very helpful in most of the scenario. Okay. Then as a repository or version controls, I recommend Git and GitHub. So I will discuss basics of Git and creating repository. Those things I will cover here. But of course, not in too much detail, because this is not the course for Git or GitHub. For that, there are so many things available on the internet. You can go and learn. Okay. Next is introduction to OpenAI and GPT models. So under this, heading is called Getting Started with OpenAI LLM, and under that I will cover 4 important points: overview of OpenAI offerings, what are the offerings, what kind of different models available, what kind of API, what kind of how to create a account in OpenAI platform, and how to create API keys which you have to use while accessing the API, while calling the API, right? Then hands-on coding, hello world kind of things in OpenAI API. And then another area which is very important, even if any large language model you will use to get the optimum response or optimal response is how to craft the effective prompts, right? So that area I will also touch upon, but those things I cannot able to cover the more detail, because if I will try to cover, then this course becomes full year course, which is not required and which is not going to not beneficial for you. So that's why in this course as an engineer I will focus more and more hands-on things, so that you will be skilled enough to get ready for real life, real world application development or application design development. Those kind of area you will get involved after that. Okay, so that's why I'm more focusing in that area. Okay. Next is deep diving to OpenAI API to understand what is the meaning of different parameters and configuration like temperature, max token, stop underscore k, etc. etc. Okay, what exactly it is? These parameters are handling API response, parsing and utilizing the response data, error handling and rate limits, making robust applications, how to make these applications very robust, right? And then efficient and ethical use, how to make sure that you are using the efficient and ethical use of your application, right? Then the module 5, which is primarily focusing on introduction to LangChain. And under here, I will try to cover overview and capability of LangChain, then how to set up the environment for LangChain. Then I will explain you core concept and terminology so that you will be aware of what are the basic fundamentals used or created, how this framework is designed primarily. So those things I will try to cover. Of course, not in too much detail because that is not possible. My focus is to more hands-on. So that's why I will give you the basic sense. And then while doing the coding, I will try to cover as much as possible, as much as things is possible, so that you can use these sample codes in your real world projects development. Okay. And then build a simple application, few simple applications I will build here so that you can refer whenever you need it in your real industry application. Okay. Module 6 is building blocks of LangChain. All right. So chains and pipelines, memory in LangChain. Chain and pipelines is very much required when you want to understand the flow, how the flow of task is happening. Because it's not easy to debug sometimes because many things is abstracted from you. So the flow, at least if you understand the basic flow, how when you are calling any LLM API, how this is processed under LangChain environment, what kind of logging system is given by this LangChain to help you to debug and understand the issues. So that kind of things I will discuss. Then if you want to understand, if you want to build the stateful interaction between you and your application, then memory is very fundamental for that. Memory is the only thing which you need for making your interaction stateful. So that's why this memory handling in LangChain is very important. And so be careful for this understanding because this makes more sense. Another key area which I recently even started learning and developing something, I will not disclose as of now, but yes, like agents and tools, multi-agents. This is very much required for when you do research or research-oriented things. Like you want to think which is controlled by many parameters. So why I'm saying it, because you are aware of it that in ChatGPT environment, what you are doing, you are giving the prompt and you are getting the response. Once you pass the prompt, you do not have any control, and the prompt have very limited control also. Please note. So your research or your response is not controlled by you too much. It is controlled by your large language model itself, and that's why you have, in your experience, you will realize that sometimes your response is very accurate and sometimes it is very vague. So to improve that situation or to improve the complete ecosystem in that sense, the agent and tools are very handy. How to use agents, how to use different tools which is expert in different areas. So if you do that kind of constraint, if you put the different kind of agents for check to input and output, then by that, using that things, you can produce the response as per your expected. And that would be more useful for research kind of environment. So I will talk about it also in some part of video. Okay. And then how to design advanced prompt for interaction with large language model. All right. Next is advanced LangChain concept. Just example is like custom chain and components, which is useful for extending functionality. Integrating external data source. So working with database and APIs, other APIs like web APIs, that comes under this heading. So I will try to use few of them, not too much in discussion, but yes, few of them I will show you as an example, so that in real world application, if you need such kind of, which is very much required in enterprise environment, so that scenario I will discuss little bit. I will not discuss too much detail because because of certain constant I will not do, but otherwise at least I will give you some sample of code where you can interact with database, where you can interact with web APIs, like that. Okay. Another thing which is very common and why LangChain is very useful to use to build any application is it makes you independent with large language models finding. So if you are using LangChain, it means that your coupling over the large language model is not very strong. It is a loosely coupled, meaning you at configuration level also you can just replace LLM models from OpenAI to any, say for example, LLama you want to use, or any other Hugging Face models you want to use. So those things you can easily swap between, and that is the beauty of LangChain or any application framework, not LangChain. Any application framework is providing this kind of facility. So that's why it is useful for you to use in your application. Debugging and testing is also very useful aspect, because in LLM app, when you build it, many times you cannot able to understand what is the reason behind this error. So in that case, LangChain will help you, because this will giving you the lots of logs, debugging environment. You can tweak here and there, and then you will try to check which area there is a problem, or which area of the code is actually giving some problem. So that kind of environment LangChain will provide you. So I will explain that. Then there are real world projects which as of now I considered 4 real world projects. The first one is building a chatbot with memory. So this is the basic, because any interactive solution you are creating, you have to provide the memory so that stateful interaction possible, right? So basic thing is stateful interaction. You want a stateful interaction with your chatbot. Another thing which is very useful is creating an automated research assistant. And this area, if you remember, just now I discussed that in this scenario, agents and tools are very important for you. So try to understand these agents and tools. Okay. All right. Then, develop a content generator. Large number of people currently using this kind of like a GPT for generation purpose, content generation purpose, either in terms of code, in terms of story, in terms of business articles, in terms of anything, like lots of content is generated using these tools. So, but the problem is those articles are not human oriented. It is, by reading that article, it seems to be this is robot generated. So how to minimize the robotic things in your content generation, that I will try. But of course, it requires a different level of research and kind of implementation. So I cannot able to this time frame. I cannot able to complete those things in this time frame, because that requires even the research. But I will try some here and there tricks so that you can minimize it. But that is also a very 10 to 20% only. But at least I will guide you the steps. I will show you the steps. I will show you the problem. I will show you the improvement. And then you will proceed on that direction. Another project I will go here is sentiment analysis and classification. This is the very basic. Anybody who is starting AI ML, they are always starting with sentiment analysis and classification. If you remember earlier, classification is the buzzword for AI. So that's why this one thing I will also touch upon here, so that at least you should also get hands-on dirty with these kind of basic data science concept. Okay. Next is deployment and production. Under here, I will try to capture how to prepare your application for deployment. Then I will discuss a little bit about deploying on web platform, maybe using Flask or Django, maybe cost-effective scaling, how you will do it using the AWS Lambda, and then keeping your app running smoothly by using the monitoring and maintenance tools on AWS or AWS infrastructure, usually, yes. So this is another area which is very critical. Anything you build on AI, ML or Gen AI, you should be aware of ethics, security and compliance, because otherwise you cannot able to launch it into the market. And I would say it is better you cannot able to launch smoothly in the market, because market will revert back otherwise. If your solution is not ethical, if your solution is not secure, if your solution is not compliant as per the government law of land rules, right? So if you are not following these things, probably you may face many problems. So that's why it is always advisable use it with this. Okay. Then building a portfolio, it will be like the person who are little less experienced and want to build portfolio. Then the 4 project which I told you, I will share the repository of that project also, so that you can prepare your own portfolio based on these codes, but of course not copy it, because that won't make you ready for industry. I request you to understand the code and then build something upon on that code. That will make more portfolio for your new technology, right? And that will help you in your getting new job or new area in your company. Okay. All right. So, and this module is primarily for course wrap up. If you remember, I always saying that always divide every presentation, every session in 3 parts: introduction, then middle part, which is the key area part, and the third part is conclusion, wrap up part, where you can summarize the recap and key takeaway, additional resources, and thank you and next step. All these things is required here, and I will put it. Okay. I will mention few additional course features: downloadable resource, community access, certificate of completion, right? Thank you. So this much in this course, and I hope that if you join this course, you will learn many new skills, which is helpful for you to getting excel in your current skills, and you will be ahead of many people in industry by acquiring such skills. Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you for completing this video. And I hope that you definitely have learned something which will help you in your. See you in next video with new concept and skills needed